Explore the powerful messages of Ezekiel through a concise journey. Discover the living word in Ezekiel's message. Have you ever felt the weight of existence pressing so heavily on you that you questioned the very meaning of life itself? Ezekiel, an ancient prophet, stood in a world not so different from ours, filled with chaos, uncertainty, and brokenness. Yet, his words pierced through the fog of despair like a beam of light, offering clarity and purpose. Picture this: a man exiled, stripped of his homeland, witnessing his people crumble under the weight of their choices. Ezekiel is thrust into a vision so extraordinary that it demands our attention. He sees dry bones scattered across a valley, a lifeless, hopeless expanse. But then, the unimaginable happens. God commands those bones to rise. And they do. Tendons form, flesh covers them, and life breathes into what was once dead. Now, imagine if that valley of dry bones were your life, your dreams, or your relationships. What are the dry bones in your world, the parts of you that feel lifeless and beyond redemption? Ezekiel's vision speaks directly to the heart, declaring that no matter how barren your soul feels, life can return. But let's not just skim the surface here. Ezekiel wasn't just a prophet of miracles, he was a voice of accountability. His words cut deep, exposing the behaviors and mindsets that led his people to ruin. In modern terms, Ezekiel was calling out the cycles of greed, selfishness, and apathy that still plague humanity today. How often do we blame others for our problems while refusing to confront our own role in them? Consider this: Ezekiel challenges us to take radical ownership of our lives. He warns against becoming so consumed by distractions, whether material possessions, fleeting pleasures, or the opinions of others, that we lose sight of our greater purpose. Is it possible that the very things you cling to for security might be the chains holding you back? Yet, Ezekiel's story is not just one of judgment, it's one of hope. The God he speaks of is not a distant, unfeeling deity but one who promises to replace hearts of stone with hearts of flesh, filled with compassion, love, and understanding. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what if the change you're seeking in the world begins within you? In one of Ezekiel's most profound passages, he describes a river flowing from the temple of God, bringing life wherever it goes. Trees line its banks, their leaves never withering, their fruit abundant. What does this mean for us? It's an image of restoration, of a life rooted in something eternal and unshakable. It's an invitation to let go of the temporary fixes we often pursue and embrace a source of nourishment that never runs dry. Take a deep breath and think about your own journey. Are you chasing things that leave you empty? Or are you seeking a deeper connection to what truly matters? Ezekiel's message is clear: transformation is possible. But it requires a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths within ourselves. Let me share a story that might resonate with you. Imagine a man whose life is falling apart, his marriage is in shambles, his career is stagnant, and he's lost all sense of direction. One night, he stumbles upon the words of Ezekiel. The vision of dry bones hits him like a bolt of lightning. He realizes that his life isn't beyond repair, it's simply waiting for him to take the first step toward renewal. Inspired, he reaches out to his estranged spouse, seeks help for his struggles, and begins rebuilding his life with intention and faith. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror reflecting what's possible for all of us. Ezekiel's powerful imagery of renewal isn't confined to ancient times, it's alive and accessible to you right now. But here's a question to challenge your perspective: if you could see your life through Ezekiel's eyes, what would you recognize as dry bones? And what steps would you take to breathe life into them? Ezekiel's journey isn't just about personal transformation, it's about a collective awakening. His vision for a renewed community, a people united by love, justice, and faith, is a call to action for all of us. What kind of world are we building? And how are we contributing to its foundation? As we close this first part of the journey, let the words of Ezekiel linger in your mind. Life can spring forth from the most unexpected places. But it begins with you. What are you willing to let go of to embrace a future filled with purpose and meaning? From judgment to renewal, the courage to transform. Let's dive deeper into Ezekiel's journey, where judgment transforms into renewal. This isn't just about a prophet calling out sins from the past, it's about you and me today. Facing our own cycles of brokenness and finding the courage to step into something greater. Imagine standing in Ezekiel's place, called to deliver messages no one wants to hear. Truths that sting but heal. How often do we shy away from such moments in our lives? We avoid difficult conversations, settle for comfort over growth, and ignore the quiet voice urging us to change. Ezekiel, however, didn't turn away. He stepped into his calling with courage, even when the path was lonely and uncertain. But here's the profound twist: Ezekiel's judgment is not a condemnation without purpose. It's a mirror held up to a nation that has forgotten its identity. He reminds them, and us, that transformation begins with recognition. What are the patterns in your life that keep repeating? The ones you've ignored for too long? Ezekiel's words cut deep because they are infused with hope. He doesn't just diagnose the problem, he offers a vision of renewal so vivid it's impossible to ignore. He speaks of a shepherd, a leader who will gather the scattered, heal the broken, and bring peace. This shepherd isn't just a figure of the past, it's a metaphor for what we yearn for in our own lives: guidance, care, and restoration. Now, pause and reflect. Who or what serves as your shepherd? Is it a person, an ideology, or perhaps your own inner voice? And here's the deeper question: is your shepherd leading you toward life or away from it? Let's bring this to life with a modern story. Picture a woman, burdened by the expectations of others. She's constantly striving to meet societal standards. But no matter how hard she works, it's never enough. One day, she stumbles upon Ezekiel's promise of the shepherd who cares for the wounded and weary. For the first time, she realizes she doesn't have to carry her burdens alone. She begins to let go of perfectionism and embrace grace, both for herself and others. This story isn't unique, it's your story. My story. Our story. Ezekiel reminds us that we are never too far gone, never beyond the reach of renewal. But renewal requires courage, the courage to face the truth, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to step into the unknown. Let's turn to one of Ezekiel's most famous visions, the new heart. He promises that God will remove hearts of stone and replace them with hearts of flesh. Think about that for a moment. A heart of stone is unfeeling, resistant, closed off. A heart of flesh is alive, sensitive, open to change. Which one describes you right now? This isn't just poetic imagery, it's a challenge. To receive a new heart, you must be willing to let your old one break. That's the paradox of renewal, it begins in the breaking, in the vulnerability we often fear. But what if that breaking is the key to your freedom? Consider this: the people Ezekiel spoke to were in exile, far from home, disconnected from everything they once knew. Yet, it's in this place of desolation that they hear the promise of a new beginning. What feels like exile in your life right now? And what if it's the very place where transformation is waiting to happen? Let's explore a practical takeaway. Ezekiel's message is not just spiritual, it's profoundly actionable. When he speaks of a river flowing from the temple, nourishing everything in its path, he's giving us a blueprint for how to live. The river represents abundance, growth, and the power of small, consistent actions. Imagine your life as that river. Every choice you make, every word you speak, every relationship you nurture contributes to the flow. Are you adding life to the world around you? Or are you blocking the stream? Here's a modern parable. A man decides to plant a single tree in his backyard, inspired by Ezekiel's vision of the life-giving river. Over time, the tree grows, providing shade, oxygen, and a home for birds. His neighbors notice and begin planting trees in their own yards. Within a few years, the entire street is transformed into a green oasis. This isn't just about planting trees, it's about understanding the ripple effect of your actions. What small steps can you take today to create a flow of life and renewal in your own community? As we near the end of this section, let's return to the idea of the shepherd. Ezekiel's vision of a leader who heals and restores is ultimately fulfilled in Christ, the ultimate shepherd who lays down his life for his flock. This isn't just a story from 2,000 years ago, it's an invitation to follow a path of love, sacrifice, and purpose. But here's the final question for this part: if you were to truly embrace the role of shepherd in your own life, guiding and serving others, how would your world change? And more importantly, are you ready to take that step? Ezekiel's message doesn't just challenge us, it inspires us. It calls us to let go of the old, embrace the new, and live with courage and intention. The next part of our journey will delve into the practical wisdom Ezekiel offers for building a life of purpose and impact. The river of life, living with purpose and impact. What does it mean to truly live with purpose and impact? Ezekiel's vision of the river flowing from the temple provides a profound answer. This isn't just about survival, it's about flourishing. About stepping into a life so vibrant that it transforms everything it touches. Imagine your life as that river. What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? Let's revisit Ezekiel's vision. This river doesn't trickle, it surges with unstoppable energy, flowing through deserts, reviving dead seas, and causing barren lands to bloom. It's a vision of abundance, resilience, and hope. And here's the thing, that river begins in you. The question is, what's blocking it from flowing freely? Think about the patterns in your life that feel stagnant, areas where you've settled for less than what you're capable of. Ezekiel challenges us to identify these blocks and remove them, to let the river flow. But this requires honesty, the willingness to confront hard truths about ourselves. Are you holding on to grudges, habits, or fears that are damming up the potential within you? Let me share a story. There was a man who spent years consumed by bitterness. He felt wronged by life, blaming others for his lack of progress. One day, he read Ezekiel's description of the river and was struck by its power. He realized that bitterness was the dam blocking his own flow. Slowly, he began forgiving those who hurt him, taking responsibility for his choices. As he let go of his resentment, he noticed something extraordinary. His relationships deepened, his work flourished, and his joy returned. His life became a river of renewal. This story invites us to reflect. What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? And what would happen if you let it go? Ezekiel's message isn't just about individual transformation, it's about community. The river nourishes everything in its path, creating a ripple effect of life. What if your choices, no matter how small, could do the same? Imagine the impact of choosing kindness in a world of division, generosity in a culture of scarcity, or courage in the face of fear. What kind of world would you create? But let's not romanticize this journey. Living with purpose and impact requires discipline and intention. Ezekiel describes a vision of people united in justice and righteousness. But this doesn't happen by accident. It demands effort, aligning our actions with our values, even when it's inconvenient. Ask yourself, are your daily choices building the life you want? Or are they pulling you further from it? One of the most practical lessons from Ezekiel is the power of vision. He sees beyond the present chaos to what could be a restored temple, a thriving community, a flowing river. Vision is the seed of transformation. Without it, we drift. With it, we thrive. What's your vision for your life, your family, your community? And are you living in alignment with that vision? Let's bring this to a modern context. Picture a young woman, frustrated with the state of the world. She feels powerless, overwhelmed by the enormity of the problems around her. But one day, she stumbles upon Ezekiel's vision of the river and realizes she doesn't need to change everything at once. She starts small, volunteering at a local shelter, mentoring a student, planting a community garden. Over time, her efforts ripple outward, inspiring others to join her. The world doesn't change overnight, but it begins to transform, one drop at a time. Ezekiel's vision reminds us that purpose is not found in grand gestures but in consistent, intentional actions. The river starts as a trickle before it becomes a torrent. What small steps can you take today to align your life with your deepest values? Now, let's return to the idea of impact. Ezekiel's vision of renewal isn't just about survival, it's about abundance, trees that bear fruit every season, leaves that heal. This is a picture of thriving, of living in such a way that your life becomes a source of nourishment for others. What would it look like for your life to bear fruit in every season? And here's a deeper question: what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? As we near the end of this journey, let's consider one final truth from Ezekiel: the power of connection. The river flows from the temple, a symbol of divine presence, reminding us that we are not alone in this journey. Whether you call it faith, love, or community, there is a source greater than yourself that sustains you. Are you connected to that source? Or are you trying to navigate life on your own? Let's end with a challenge. Imagine Ezekiel standing before you, holding up a mirror to your life. What would he see? Are you living as a dry valley of bones or as a flowing river of life? And more importantly, what steps will you take to move toward the life you were created for? Ezekiel's message is clear: renewal is possible, purpose is attainable, and impact is within your reach. But it begins with you. Will you let the river flow?